a lot of text. We do have a lot of textile waste, and we have some challenges to be solved, but we need to get ready for collecting and using textile waste. We need new technologies and also problems in the textile material themselves, which are blended fibers and sometimes in poor condition, how to make it the cycling more sustainably. And also we are doing this kind of data sharing practices as well, because those will be enabling circularity. Our kind of basis idea is that we are generating this kind of blueprint, which is master plan how textile circularity should be happening, what is sustainable and circular textile ecosystem where everything is cycling. Then we, as the basis of that, is conceptual framework, model and tool, which can be then used for optimizing textile flows by retaining their value and also looking how it's done safely and sustainable way. And then we have promised to do a real scale demonstrator. But in order to make all that happen, we also, of course, have to develop these digital and technological solution for systemic approach, for the knowledge-based digital part, for efficient textile recovery, and then waste valorization and recycling. Our research work is containing theoretical parts in this kind of more green color, more practical development and experimental work indicated in blue, and then also engagement activities. So we are here making this theoretical background in work packages 1 and 4, developing solutions in work packages 2 and 3, and in the demonstration activity we of course use the theoretical background, develop solutions, both digital and technological, and then we study how our demonstrator could be then replicated in different areas and do the evaluation and then summarize everything in here. The kind of interesting feature of the project, which was expected by the call, is social innovation spin-off, which is part of engagement with consumers as well. While when we study replication potential, we are interacting with the other kind of stakeholders. Our partners are distributed in 10 countries in Europe, and we do this demonstration activity within our partners, hopefully in collaboration also with multiple stakeholders in different regions. And then we study the replication more, for example, in Nordic countries, Baltic countries, Central Europe, and then Spain and Portugal, for example, and Eastern Europe as well. Then here are some kind of basic facts and figures. We are quite large project and we have been now running 2.5 years. So the demonstration phase is approximately 1.5 years until the rest of the project. And we are a lot of collaborating, especially with the ecosystems, ECOP, but also this is Hub for Circularity project. So we are also looking collaboration on that side. And like I mentioned, we have been running kind of 2.5 years. We just achieved our milestone 4 in last month. So we are now ready to start the demonstration activities officially. However, we have already started a little bit, take a kind of head start in some activities. But that is the kind of main activity on the rest of the project. Of course, we look on the upscale processes, we look on the social innovation spin-off is starting now, engaging consumers and local community actors. And once the demonstrator has been started, we have promised to look how is there a potential to reduction of textile waste by 80%. So that is a very ambitious, but we will look what can be done, and if it's not possible yet, like it probably is, what needs to be happening so that can done. of course, then we are kind of collecting all the information, all the experiences within our project in order to kind of summarize lessons learned. That is the main kind of timeline of our project. And here are our communication channels. So you are already part of our extended community of practitioners, or at least attending our community webinar today. And thanks for following us. If you are not yet joined, here is the link how to register to community. But that's shortly from my side what is the project about and what is our status now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pirjo, for the updates on the project development. And I will already leave the microphone straight to our first speaker, so Kunderik from Purfai, who will guide us about the work of Purfi in tExtended and their work in transforming textile waste into resources.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Yes. I think this is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my name is Kunderik. I'm the general manager of Purify. I'm also a member of the Happy tExtended family. We are based in Belgium. And we started our business, in fact, 4 or 5 years ago. And I will explain a little bit what Purify is and what we are doing in the tExtended project. So that's today. So we are looking to make as much as possible the textile waste valuable and new products. So there are different technologies in recycling. In fact, also in the tExtended project, we are doing thermomechanical recycling, chemical recycling, and also we have partners like CTV, RISE, and VTT who can do on lab scale the traditional mechanical recycling. And in fact, Purify is doing something mechanical, but not the traditional mechanical. So McKinsey does a study and they pointed us out as soft mechanical recyclers. Why? Because they say, okay, Purify is using physical forces, but in a more gentle and slower way than the traditional mechanical recycling. So to give some information, what does it mean? If you compare, in fact, a shredder machine, a type of La Roche machine, with Purify, you see the length of a shredder machine. The pure shredding is in between 10 and 20 meters in 6 different stages. Our machine, we created ourselves, and there is only one worldwide at the moment, and it's in Belgium. Our machine at the moment is 170 meters long. And why is the machine that long? Because we want to untwist as slow as possible woven or knitted fabrics into fibers. Critical for a recycled fiber is the longer the better. So that's why we do it very slow, that we can keep as much as possible the length and the strength of the fibers who are going in fact, similar as the waste who are going into the fabric. To give some examples, you see here cottons. Depend of the input always, because what we see sometimes is that people are sending waste of 22 millimeters and then they expect 26 after our technology. That's impossible. We always lose, let's say, in between 10 and 15% of the length. If you compare the lengths Purify with shredding, you see that we have almost a double. We are not only doing cottons, but we can also do polycottons. You will see that later on. We can do pure polyester fibers. But important to say is that we don't do filament yarn. We only do spun yarn. So that's important because we untwist in several steps. And let's say we go first from a woven and knitted fabric to the yarn again, and then we call it reverse spinning. We go back to the fibers. Also meta-aramides, so more technical fibers we do for the firefighters, for the army, and also for the police, that we are bringing back the waste into fibers. Very important is the longer the fiber is, the better you can make an open end or a ring spun yarn. And that's what we're going to prove also during the project, that we can make new products and not doing downsizing, but also can do upcycling. So projects, why does it started? So we were in the tExtended project, and also there it was stipulated Purify line was identified as a gentle and yielding the best fiber properties. So, but it's always good to compare different technologies, because there is more than waste enough for everybody. So depends of what you want to do later on with the fibers and with the yarn, that you can use a certain technology. So what is the role of Purify? So we see the waste valorization and the recycling. So we work together with the partners, the Kringloopwinkel, who is collecting waste and who is close to us, only 20 kilometers from here. So that's very handy to do trials and to set up new things. But we also collect waste from third parties. What is important that if you work with post-consumer waste, because that's the focus in Europe, that the hard parts are removed, and there we work together with Kringloopwinkel, who is doing that manually, but also with Valvan, who is also a Belgian company 25 kilometers away, who is let's say making a machine who can do automatically the sorting of the waste, but also the dismantling, the trim clean, so to take out the hard parts of the waste. So then it's our part. We do the soft mechanical recycling, and with the partners of tExtended, tExtended and GF Almeida, who are spinners, who can do open end spinning. tExtended can also do ring spinning. We did already some first trials, and we will do more trials to show all the possibilities with recycled content, post-consumer waste, that you can make via knitting or via weaving, also end products. I will explain that a little bit in the next slides. So the real scale demonstrator, normally theoretically we started in May, but since March, April, we were very enthusiastic to start a little bit earlier to do some first smaller trials, but then later on we can upscale and show that it's not only on lab scale that we can do things, but also on industrial scale, because the TRL of our Purify machine is TRL 8 and 9. So I used, let's say, the slide of Ritter, because it gives a nice impression where you go to if you start from some type of waste. So things, we did 4 small things at the moment. So the first 2 were with waste of the Kringloopwinkel white t-shirts, post-consumer waste. But you will see in the second step, so to come to the 2 clips, we did the manual sorting and dismantling together with Kringloopwinkel, but the second one we did the automatic dismantling by Valvan. What we saw is that the results were quite similar. Also let's say the hard parts, the percentage hard parts were similar when you do manual sorting as automated sorting. So we received a 100% cotton fibers after our recycling. We call it rejuvenation. And now the tests are going on together with GF Almeida in Portugal to make some new products in a 7x1 and a 12x1 number English. And also tExtended is working out a 24 and a 30 number English, but that will be more focused on the polycotton and not on the cotton. You will see that on the next slide. So that's the trial number 3 and 4. So 3 is the denim, 4 is the polyester bed sheets. So industrial washed bed sheets that we also are looking what we can do with the fibers. So also there, that was the manual sorting and dismantling. And you see, if you start with denim, you will have denim fibers, so the blue denim fibers, and then the bed sheets were polycotton, so a blend of 50-50. Also there, we are working on products, and you will see here The denim we will do with an external spinner. Why? Because denim is a specialty, and also color-wise, if you do that in a let's say in a spinning mill who is not used to it, they will have a lot of color contamination. So it's better to do that with an external spinner. And then here you see the project with tExtended to make a 24 or 30 number English and polycotton, where we will go also for a new end product that you will see. Next slide. So what is important for the whole tExtended project is that we want to have realistic results. We will also do it together with RISE and tExtended, the eco-text tests, because it's important if you work with post-consumer waste that you work on in a safe environment, so that it's eco-test text tested and also REACH compliant. It's with real recycled content, because we see a lot of greenwashing in the world of recycling, and we want to show that also with real results that we can make real products. And also the product environmental footprint, we will work out together with the team of tExtended to show what the advantages are with working with recycled content instead of virgin material. So that's an example. So with the Friends of Almeida, we will start with the waste. You saw that we wear white t-shirts and we have white fibers. They will make yarn, and they will show that it's possible to make new towels with recycled content, and they will figure out what the percentage of recycled content can be. Also, because Concordia is one of my partners here in Belgium, they can do knitting, and we will look if we can make a t-shirt or a polo with recycled content, and then we will do the confection in the Portuguese area close to Citeve, who is also a member of tExtended. We will look to make the recycled denim, and then also in combination with tExtended to make workwear in the polycotton. So these are some things that we have in mind as targets to show realistic results of recycling, because we want to avoid to have a very, let's say, a small trial in the lab, and then if we see later on that it's not possible to multiply that in several volumes. So that's what we are doing with tExtended, and I think for the whole textile industry, it's necessary to reconstruct the value chain in favor of the environmental and also the local communities, because also there we can show in Europe that the textile knowledge is still there and that we are ready to take a leading role in the whole recycling business. Thank you.
Thank you, Koen, for the introduction to Purfai and for the food for thoughts, especially at the end, about the textile industry in Europe. And it's also good to mention that when in the future events that we are going to be involved with tExtended, you're going to be able to see some of these textiles that Koen has already described, as we will be showcasing them. So if you're going to be present at some of the events, come visit us, so you're going to be able to see them in person. So thank you, Koen, for the first presentation. And I will go straight to the next speaker. But first, I would just want to mention for the people that joined later, that if you have questions about the presentation that you hear, you can already drop your questions in the Q&A area that you find at the bottom of the screen. And at the end of the whole presentations, we're going to read them to the speakers. So up next to the next speaker. So I'll leave the microphone to Dacia Akule about the case of Latvia, about separate collection and EPR and consumer engagements.
Hello, everyone, and welcome also from my side, joining here from Riga, where we just had very lovely November-like rain in June. But we are facing the longest days and shortest nights here in our region with midsummer, so big things happening. Now, I have an outline for my presentation, starting with a bit of an introduction for those people who don't know much about Green Liberty, then going into EPR for textiles in Latvia. Then I'll talk a little bit about separate collection of post-consumer textiles, a study that we did in 2023, and that we can also use the results from in our work in tExtended. As Corinne said, we're also part of the Happy tExtended family, and where you just saw, I think, from Corinne's presentation and also what Pirjo showed, we are motivated as an NGO to be part of this work because there is the systematic overview. We're looking at all kinds of fibers, we're looking at all kinds of textile products, we're looking at all kinds of ways that we could use the post-consumer products into repairing, reusing, recycling, remanufacturing, all these other strategies that could be applied to keep the value that these products have. And so we're not just looking at a tiny fraction of the big picture. We are trying to look at the big picture and figuring out what really the preconditions should be to make our goal possible, which, as Pirjo mentioned, is to reduce textile waste in the EU by 80%. So it's very ambitious, and there are certain preconditions that have to be there, and we are also studying that. And so finally, I will share a little bit from the social innovation spin-off activities that we are planning here in Latvia, which links back to what Pirjo also showed in her slide. We are starting in that phase. So Green Liberty is an environmental nonprofit NGO, and we're working on all kinds of climate change and sustainability issues, which also includes textile waste and consumption of textiles. And you see, I highlighted some of the achievements that we are proud to have been part of. We have helped Latvia to establish a beverage packaging deposit system. We have also helped several municipalities to start working in a zero waste city concept, which means a lot of practical things for how the cities can change their the ways and help the public or everyone to behave differently in a more sustainable way. And also we have been one of the actors that has inspired the stakeholders in this country to start introducing the separate collection of textiles earlier than in many other European countries. As you see in the slide, we started in January 2023, like also Finland did. And we, with our study that I'll show some results of later, also helped shape the EPR policy for textiles in this place. So going to that topic. With this introduction in July last year, Latvia was the fourth EU country to introduce this new policy, and I have outlined the main details about the EPR in Latvia that is in place, including the UN Comtrade codes. If you are a real practitioner in this field, you will know what it means, but basically it is textiles, textile related, and footwear products, and they are, in Latvia's case, the ones that are placed in our market for the first time, disregarding whether they are new or whether they are imported second-hand products. I'll go to this issue in a minute. The policy is that we have a natural resources tax in place, so €0.5 per kilogram of textile products or €500 per ton. There is at this point no exemption for small producers. Responsibility starts at the first kilogram. The exemption is not to pay the tax. You can do so if you are participating in an EPR scheme. So you're paying an EPR fee for EPR operators, or you are maintaining your own textile waste management system if you're big enough to do so. So right now in Latvia, we have 3 extended producer responsibility operators for textile products. They have in the spring handed in their first activity reports on how they did the first 6 months since we introduced the system. So in these reports, they need to show how they are cooperating with partners, preparing for reuse, recycling and recovery, and they need to provide data on all the processes that take place in the country, elsewhere in the EU and the world. So we are asking for a certain level of transparency and accountability to know that really things are happening in line with the performance targets, but also that really we are trying to make sure that we are doing the best that we can in this field. In the EU policy, when there was discussion on the Waste Framework Directive and the targets for EPR in the EU, then there was this problem that was highlighted, that apparently we are unable to set some targets. This is not the case in Latvia. As we did the study in 2023, we proposed more ambitious targets that you see now in the PowerPoint. Now the stakeholders are saying that they are too small, that they are actually able to really exceed the targets that we see for the reuse, recycling, and recovery. So at least 20% of the textile goods that are annually placed in the Latvian market were supposed to be prepared for reuse, recycling, and recovery last year. So in the first 6 months since the CPR is in place. And then you see a little bit of increase. As I said, we did from our side in our study propose much more ambitious goals, but the agreement among the stakeholders was for this. Let's see how we go in the years ahead. The social enterprises, charities, and other operators that have also in Latvia been very active before the separate collection duty came into place to collect post-consumer textiles. They are still allowed to maintain their own collection points. At this point, they are not required to do any data provision to the state institutions, so that we would also know what's happening in their largest operators. But most likely this will change when the Waste Framework Directive actually enters into force in EU. There is a political will, let's say, to also look at the largest charities and social enterprises that work in this sector, to also get the data from them, because of course we want to reach the targets. We also want to know what's happening with this, and as you'll see in a second or two, they do have a very important role in this sector by enabling local reuse. So we want to have the data from them. We don't want to be in the fog with this. Latvia's let's say political decision to start with the EPR earlier than in many other European countries was also linked to the fact that, okay, we can't wait for the EU to pick up the policy and introduce the EPR harmonized criteria, because we, as I said before, started a separate collection earlier. So as I said, we started in January 2023. We introduced the EPR in July 2024. So you can see that 18 months, the polluters, or in this case, the consumers of textiles who are at some point throwing it out, and then someone needs to collect it and sort it and do these other things, they were left out of paying for it. So the longer this gap, policy dilemma, or let's say, problem that existed, the longer, of course, the situation would mean that the waste management companies would have to fund this work from some other revenues, which is not linked to who was actually making the waste there, us, the consumers. But so there was this point in the EPR debate where we were thinking, so should we wait more to figure out with the EU countries what we do, or should we go with the basic to put in the basic infrastructure, which was the final decision then, as you see, to do the minimum so that the stakeholders start working in this, and then there's a political commitment to harmonize according to the EU criteria, including also eco-modulation if it's there, lower cost for second-hand importers, and exemptions for smaller enterprises as of 2028. So we will also gather some data for these years that will be the first 3 years with EPR in Latvia, and then we'll be able to also look at what's the best solution, how we can, let's say, upgrade this policy. With regard to EPR debate, one interesting issue that you might be interested in is that in this debate, there was not just about should we wait, or should we start with something minimal. There was also a push from some secondhand retailers who wanted to have the imported secondhand textile products exempt from the policy. They were saying that, look, I mean, European policy is all about facilitating reuse. So why are new products on the same level as secondhand products? They should not be penalized in a way for this. And there was also a citizens' legislative initiative where you see this visual from, I was just checking it yesterday. In Latvia, we have this actually legislative opportunity that if you gather 10,000 verified signatures, so people go on this one website, and with internet banking, we verify that this is really me, that's Akula signing the petition. We can get a hearing in the parliament for any initiative that is a legislative initiative. So this initiative was also to not put the secondhand textiles as part of the natural resources tax or the EPR policy. And you see that they didn't gather 10,000, but it's close to 8,000 people who signed it. Obviously, these are citizens, so it's a citizens initiative, not just anyone who's living here. So there was some public debate about this. And it's linked to the fact why we did include the secondhand textiles in the EPR in Latvia, that actually around 1/3 of the textile consumption in our country is secondhand. And here I have to stress, we're talking only about garments and home textiles. We're not looking at footwear, and this is linked to the fact that the first study that we are seeing there in the visual in 2018, the data comes from a study we did together with colleagues in the Baltic countries and Nordic countries for the Nordic Council of Ministers, which the methodology meant that we are not looking at footwear, and we wanted to compare the data. So we kept the same methodology so we can also see what has happened in this field in these 3 years. And really with regard to separate collection of textiles, huge improvements have taken place in these 3 years. But going back to this visual, so the second-hand consumption is 1/3. So that also means all of these products have to at some point be collected. They will enter the waste stream. So we're not talking about a small fraction. And as you see, as you know for sure, that the EPR fees, they don't travel with the product over EU borders. So even if, let's say, theoretically, a T-shirt that comes from France may have already been applicable to EPR. So someone may have paid this EPR fee for that T-shirt, and then it's used, and then it enters Latvia. And then at some point after use, it also enters the waste stream in Latvia. So still the waste management companies in Latvia, they need to do this work, but they will never get the fee that was paid in France. So we have this pact that EU policy in waste management, it's a national policy, right? So it's every country doing their own thing. So the EPR fees are not traveling, and therefore this was the main argument why the responsible ministry said that we need to include the second-hand imported products into this policy. And here I also have to say that, of course, if it is a charity that receives international second-hand imports to be donated to people in need, that is not included in the EPR. Okay, we're talking about placing it on the market, so it's something that is actually bought by someone. Secondhand, also a very important part of online trading, and here you see the biggest Andele Mandele C2C online market for used goods, where approximately 80 to 90% is textiles. So you see the large numbers of tons and the units in each year that are circulating thanks to these opportunities. And of course, there are also the informal ways of friends and families and acquaintances and swap parties and all these other things that is difficult to put in data. But Andele Mandele, because it's an online platform, of course, they're registering every purchase, every trade, and they're able to gather the data and share it. When we did the study in 2023, it was published then in Latvia, which is under 2 million people. We already had more than 700 collection points, and they have been increased because of this separate collection duty that came into force in January. And here is one last thing that I wanted to show from this study about one major difference, which links back to what I said earlier about the role of charities and social enterprises in this, that they really are the ones who are enabling that the separately collected textiles are reused in Latvia. So this can also mean that it's sale, but also donations. Of course, as you know, charities also do that. But when it comes to the containers, the specialized textile containers and the waste management companies who are collecting the textiles, of course, having a much wider network of these collection points than the charities have, they are really doing exports. So as you see in the data, 82% of what they are collecting in this is going to export. So only 10%, like they say, the cream of the cream is staying in Latvia, everything else goes outside. A very different situation when we look at charities. 64% of the materials stay here, and then much less is exported. And when you look at the very bottom of the image, you see that there is not much of a difference how much is wasted. So as you know, also in these containers, some of these things are of such a low quality or so worn out that they cannot be reused or recycled. So they go into the energy recovery or landfill, and that is 8 or 11% for charities and the waste management companies. And now the final 2 slides. I hope I haven't reached my limit. I look at Claudia for time.
Please go on.
We are going to work on the social innovation spin-off, and that's one of the activities that Green Liberty is part of in the Happy tExtended family. And also what Pirjo was saying earlier, we're going to be in charge of doing a replication study for the Baltic states and seeing how the real-scale demonstrator solutions could be applicable. Are we actually able to do it in the Baltic states? So that's also coming up. And we are also going to work on this, what I like in the tExtended logo. You see all the arrows and the cooperation that needs to take place. And I think it's a nice way of also looking at this social innovation spin-off activity, where we in Latvia have decided to do an ambitious project, gathering all the key stakeholders to create market-tested and manufacturable prototype for a souvenir type of product from discarded textiles, the textiles that are collected in my country, and made by social enterprises employing people with disabilities. So we want to get in the next year, starting in autumn and ending next summer, all the key stakeholders from the social enterprises to make sure that from the design phase, from the beginning of how we think about the product, we are thinking that it will be produced by people with disabilities. So we're not just producing something and just throwing it out and saying, well, you know, go ahead and try to make it the way that you can. We also involve education institutions in both the design and material concepts, as well as the practical prototyping. We will involve waste management companies and charities who know, of course, best how the separate collection works, also the quantities, qualities, the challenges with some of the materials that they get in the waste streams. And they will also help us with the material feedstock for the product prototyping. We will have souvenir producers, retailers who can, of course, share their insights on what goes, what doesn't go, what is an innovative product, what is maybe not so sustainable in what they are producing or selling. And they can also participate then in market testing of whatever we are prototyping. And we also, of course, will include public institutions to help us design this concept of what could this souvenir representing this country be like. And as most countries have an image of what you want to share to the world, how this idea links into that it doesn't go against it. And I mean, in a lot of these presentations, we're talking about textile waste. So, is it a souvenir made of textile waste is probably not the best way to describe it, and also where it can be used, etc. So public institutions working in this will also help us with that. So as I said, we're starting in September, ending next summer, and we will have different workshops with stages in between. Green Liberty will do a lot of research supporting different stages of these workshops. This will include also looking at the quantity, quality of the discarded textiles, with the ambition to look for the ways to make use of the underutilized material flow that goes there. That could be the souvenir type of product. We are also going to look at this different kind of inspiration, the sustainable souvenirs from other countries that could be made from this material. And an important part will also be engaging the public in providing input for this process, and also the feedback to both product sketches and the prototypes via social media. It's very popular these days to, ask people to decide which should be the national taste of, a chocolate bar. So we're going to do something like that about this souvenir, asking people, so would you, also you as a Latvian, be proud to take this product to your visits abroad, or give it as a gift to your foreign visitors. So we're going to try to do that, and really try to bring people on board, and also provide, get a very valuable feedback on what we're doing. And of course, as this is a public investment activity, so we have the great honor and pleasure to actually be able to work on this with the EU funding. We will document all this methodology, how we are going to get there to the product development process, and we'll have an external expert helping with that, because obviously an NGO is not producing products every day, but we can facilitate the process and help with these other things. So we will document all of that so that it can be replicated in other countries, and also maybe used for developing other products. So as this public investment needs to not just stay here, we also want to see and help to facilitate this knowledge, let's say, to go not just for this one particular activity that we plan in Latvia, but hope to inspire other players to do something similar and learn from the methodology that we have used. And finally, here I am done with my presentation, and thank you for your attention, and look forward to meeting you in other webinars and activities.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Nate, for the presentation, all the interesting information about the work Green Liberty and the journey that's been done in Latvia about separate collection, and for this introduction about the social innovation spin-off that is going to take place in Latvia, as you already described, but it's going to take place in many of the countries that are involved in tExtended. So in many countries, we are going to start at the end of the summer and in autumn developing activities about raising awareness about textile waste, and proposing activities that involve citizens in being part of the solution and developing solutions about textile waste. So if you're interested in it and you actually want to take part to them, it's open to absolutely every citizen. Just keep following our pages or get in contact with us. We can discuss it, and you will see updates starting very soon in the summer, and about all the activities that we're about to develop. So thank you again, Date, and I will go to the last presentation of the day about ecologistic and the role of logistic and the role and importance of logistics in tExtended. So we'll leave the microphone to Katarina Oskar from Ecologistic.
Thank you, Claudia. Yes, so I'm going to share. As well.
Yes, now I can see it.
Looks okay.
Yes.
Good, thank you. So I'm very glad to be here representing tExtended with my colleague Jimmy, who's also gonna he's gonna start talking actually. So he's to show the presentation here.
Yeah. Yes, I agree with Katarina. Thank you for having us, and we're glad to be a part of and partner in the tExtended project. I'm going to start to present a little bit about our company. And tExtended, that's the name we're working under. It's a concept actually, and the concept is a cooperation between the branch association in Sweden called TECO, the Swedish textile and fashion industry, and together with a company called Greenway Logistics. And Greenway Logistics, you could share the next, please. Höger.
Höger.
Oh. Yes, Greenway Logistics operates with this concept in several countries, actually 8 countries. And what we do is that we support branch associations, and at the moment it's 18 different industries and associations in these 8 countries. Yes, please. And what we do is that we support the member companies of the association. We support them in doing more efficient and more sustainable transport and logistics. And tExtended is also participating then in several national and EU subsidized projects. And it's about finding out new concepts and how we can do more sustainable solutions with logistics within the textile, sports, and fashion life industries. So when it comes to tExtended in Sweden, what we do is that we support members out of TECO. We do advisory in supply chain. We do benchmarks in transports. We help them finding solutions for outsourcing, insourcing of their warehouses. And we negotiate collective deals. And the collective deals is mainly to be able to make sure that the quality and the efficiency of logistic deals is in place for the members, making cost efficiency, but also, of course, of other parameters. We also have a concept within the tExtended or in the Greenway for the other countries as well. We call CO2 Improve, and the logo is about not compensating but innovate when it comes to your logistics. We do the emission calculations to be able to do your reporting of your CO2 emissions, but we also do analysis and improvement planning to lower your emissions. We do this with workshops and networking, and this is for us very important to make sure that we are participating in making the logistics more sustainable. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so this diagram presents the conceptual framework for circularity in the textile sector, built on the well-known recycling triangle. It illustrates how textiles can move through different phases to enable optimal cycles of use, reuse, and recycling. So this is an overview of the project. And what we have is from the beginning, on the left-hand side, you can see we have the textile products. Then we use the textile use. We recover the textiles because after the primary use, textiles are collected, then go through identification and sorting. Reuse is encouraged via second-hand shops and charities, keeping products in use longer. So we have also then the pre-processing and waste valorization, prepare materials for the next life. Recycling and valorization of this triangle, it then leads to several pathways of different reuse and recycling. So, or goes to the reuse of second-hand garments. So with this textile recycling flow, we also see the transportations, how it occurs in this circular textile flow. So from the beginning, you have the textile on the right-hand side. You start with the textile collection that then transfer to the sorting facilities for pre-processing and waste valorization, divided into two flows, you can say, reuse of the products or materials, or the second, or recycling of the new fibers. To end this loop, so to speak, of making a new product of recycled materials. And to show how to make the logistics more efficient, where we start is we collect the textiles from different locations and we transport it to sorting facilities. This could mean you are picking up from many locations with many trucks to deliver further to the sorting facilities. So to make this transport more efficient and also make sure that the filling rate of the transported waste is as high as possible, we can see the benefits of logistics hubs or consolidation hubs to reduce the fragmented transports. So low emission transport modes and consolidated transports are more aligned with the sustainable goals.
And you can say, looking into all these scenarios, we are trying to find out the expected and the best case scenarios, how to do logistics within this loop and in the framework. How can we make sure that we are getting the best way of doing logistics when it comes to recycling? And what Katarina has showed is, of course, that we can make logistics more improved, but even more important. And this is a graph that we took into consideration. If you expect to see energy in logistics, when you transport, you will use energy, or emission could also be. That's on your y-axis. In the x-axis, I put in all our different steps, the processes, and when you start, you do the textile collecting. After that, you do the identification sorting, and between every one of these movements, we need to transport goods. And this is showing us that it is very important for us to try to make as much as possible at the start of the process to reduce the emission amount. If we can sort out most out of it efficient in the start, then we have to transport less. This is very important. If you click for the next one. So I did, this is just a way of having how we see this process when we are going through logistics in the tExtended. The more sorting refinement we can do at the beginning, the less energy consumption in logistics.
So also showing this map of the participants in the project. So within the project, we are looking at the logistic flows, considering the partners and companies involved in the project, and taking into account the company's business orientations. We look at the transport flows from collecting to the end of producing a new product for the market made of recycled material. So we see here examples on the right-hand side in different color letters, collection and sorting of post-consumer. Where do we find that? For example, in Finland, and collecting of pre-consumer and commercial textile waste. Where do we find that? And where can we make the recycling and waste valorization processes in the best way and with the best technology and with the technology that we need, etc. So we will look into the different transportation flows within this European map and the participants in the project, and also the best way out of the costs of transportation, of course, but also very important, the consideration of the carbon emission for each transport. So the summary of all this with Teco in tExtended, we want to bring logistic knowledge to the textile industry experience. We are going to calculate the emission for the entire project, but also for the created and demonstrating processes, where we are going to use our program, CO2 Improve, which are based on the standard greenhouse gas protocol and a method GLEC, Global Logistic Emission Council. We want to minimize the climate impact per transport unit. We are designing logistic flows that are enable reuse and recycling, integrating life cycle analysis, thinking into the logistics decisions, important. Collaborating with actors along the entire value chain for circular solutions. And as Jimmy mentioned before, sorting logistics, it's very important that the right flow to the right facility results in a higher recycling rates and less residual waste, meaning we should try to sort out the waste as soon as possible and not start transporting the textile waste all over Europe. So we do what we can with the waste where we stand, and then we transport the rest to continue in the circular waste flow. Yes, that was from us.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Katarina, for the presentation about logistics and for highlighting what's the value of taking into consideration everything about logistics in a project like tExtended. This was the last presentation that we had today, so I will leave space for any questions that we have from the attendees. So if you have any question for our speakers, unfortunately, Kun had to leave, so we'll collect in case questions for him, but for the other speakers, we will just read out the questions now. So if you have them, you find them at the bottom of the screen. You find the Q&A section where you can drop a question. And so we'll leave some minutes of time in case. Let's see. Or if there aren't questions now, you have them later. You can always contact me with the through the email. You find them in the invitation, and you're gonna find it in the recap email I'm gonna send after. So you're always welcome to ask any question to all our speakers or about the project in general. So I'll just share the last invitation if you didn't catch it at the starting presentation by our coordinator. If you want to join the community of practitioners where we're organizing events like this and sharing news about the project, you just have to scan the QR code here or in the invitation letter I will send afterwards, and you will just have to fill in the form and just receive you'll just receive a confirmation email about it. And I will thank the speakers for their availability today and for sharing their insights about both their work and the work in the project with all of us. Thank you everyone that attended it. I hope this was useful and interesting for you, and it gave you again some food for thoughts about your work. And I wish I'll stop sharing, and I wish for everyone a pleasant summer upcoming. So thank you for coming, and see you to the next webinar.
Maybe we can also remind our audience that we can accept also, and we want to have also presenters from our stakeholder group. So if you want to present something what is happening in your organization or in your country, please feel to contact us, Claudia, and suggest that you would like to present something to our project group and as well as the stakeholders. So these webinars, we want to have 1 or 2 kind of outside presentations as well.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for the reminder. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy midsummer, everyone who's celebrating
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stop.